So you've beaten Jedi Survivor, you've unlocked all the abilities, gotten a whole bunch of the collectibles, and you want to play more. Sure, there's a New Game Plus mode, but what does it offer besides more of the same? How do you juice even more fun out of this game? This is Ash for the SSS League, and I want to show you how I've been playing Jedi Survivor lately. It's really hard, and it's not for everybody, but I recommend checking it out if you're looking to not only make things harder, but also experience an entirely new challenge. I call it Realistic Saber Mode, and it is the ultimate Jedi power fantasy. When you start New Game Plus mode, you're given a few extra perks that you didn't have available during your first playthrough. There's 3 of them, and they're sort of a bluish, purplish color in your perks menu here. These do not require perk slots to equip, so you can just turn them on and off at will and keep whatever other perks you have active. There's one called Trendsetter in the middle of the top row here. This is just a cosmetics thing. Basically, every time you respawn, it'll completely randomize your cosmetics. So that's kind of fun, if you want to do that. If you want to keep the clothing and hairstyle and stuff that you currently have set, though, you'll want to turn that one off. There's another one called Warrior. This replaces, basically in a lot of the combat encounters, it upgrades the enemies to tougher versions. So this is optional. I mean, all of this is optional, but basically, this adds a certain degree of challenge, and I have it equipped, as you can see. But the big one is this one here, bottom right. It's called Purity, and it massively increases both the damage that you deal to enemies and the damage you receive from enemies. This is what makes it, what I call Realistic Saber Mode. It really doesn't matter what difficulty level you have it set at. If you have this equipped, even if you're on the easiest difficulty, you're still going to take massive damage and deal massive damage. So the difference that changing the difficulty level will make is, if you set it lower, enemies will be less aggressive and you'll have more of a forgiving parry window. But in terms of the actual damage that you receive, it doesn't make any difference at all what difficulty you have it set at. Having the Purity perk equipped completely changes the game when it comes to combat. The lightsaber now feels as satisfyingly dangerous as it really should, a weapon that can cut through metal and armor like butter. Cal's blaster is also pretty dangerous, one-shotting most of the weaker enemies, but ammo restrictions and the limited effectiveness against the larger armored enemies make it really a secondary tool. It's all about the lightsaber in this mode, and let me tell you, it's a satisfying way to play. Most enemies are now a one-hit kill if you can get past their defenses, and that's really what it is about when you're playing in this mode, finding a way to get in a hit without getting hit yourself. And let me tell you, cutting down a raider in the middle of a power attack windup is just a whole lot of fun, and it's very satisfying. But don't mistake this for being an easy way to play. Your enemy's attacks are way more powerful as well. One regular attack will eat up most of your health bar, and more powerful attacks like explosives or unblockable attacks will one-shot kill you. Even a single stormtrooper or a battle droid can be dangerous if you're not careful, and as soon as you're faced with a group of them, well, you've got your work cut out for you. At that point, it's all about strategy and avoiding damage. In certain situations, like, for example, if it's been a while since your last checkpoint, you might want to find a way to avoid combat altogether, because a single mistake when you're playing like this can be very punishing, and you might lose a decent amount of progress. So if you're like on your 3rd fight since the last time you had a checkpoint, or had a meditation point, you might want to try to avoid some enemies until you can actually save your progress. But in any case, when you are in combat, especially against a large group of enemies, it's all about strategy. It's all about using force powers, the environment, special abilities, anything you can really to weaken or distract your enemies so you can defeat the lot of them without letting them overwhelm you or surprise you from behind. You've got to be quick to dodge those unblockable attacks, find safe openings to get in your own attacks, and somehow make your way to safety anytime you need to heal. Explosives and unblockable blaster attacks are especially dangerous, so you've got to keep an eye on those ranged enemies and use the terrain as cover whenever you can. In short, it's a crazy and frenetic way to play. It can all go to hell in the blink of an eye. It's incredibly satisfying when you finally do win that tough fight, and I absolutely love it. It does have some odd quirks, though. For one thing, boss fights are a little bit broken, with each phase only requiring 1 or 2 hits, because the increased damage that you do, that applies to boss fights as well. Now, I don't mind that personally, especially since this is my second playthrough. I don't want to spend a ton of time on the boss fights, But if you don't like that, you could always unequip the Purity perk before fighting a boss. Another side effect of playing in this mode is that the crossguard stance doesn't do any more damage than any of the other saber stances in this mode. At least, if it does do more damage, it's negligible, because you're pretty much one-shot killing everything with any of the saber stances. And because the attacks are slower, it leaves you vulnerable for longer, which is clearly a disadvantage in a mode where speed is everything. So I don't particularly like using the crossguard stance in this mode, where it was one of my favorite stances during normal gameplay. That said, it does have increased defense, and it has some special moves that you may like using. So I'm not saying it's completely useless in this mode, I'm just pointing out that, it doesn't have the same advantages that it had necessarily during normal gameplay in terms of actual damage dealt. So that's Purity perk mode, aka Jedi Power Fantasy, aka Realistic Saber mode. There's a lot more I could say about this, but it's probably best for you to just try it out for yourself and see if you like it, and let me know in the comments if you do, or if you have tried it, if you like it, if you think it's cool, if you think it's awful and a tedious way to play. You'll die a lot. You will die a lot. I love the satisfaction of finally beating that fight that I've died 20, 30 times to. So if that's how you like to play, then this is the mode for you. If not, maybe not, but now you know about it anyway, so thank you so much for watching. Slam that like button and hit the subscribe. Don't forget all that good stuff, and I will talk to you again very soon. Did you enjoy that video? Let us know by slamming that like button and leaving a comment below. And if you found it helpful or informative, consider hitting that super thanks button or checking out the other support options in the description. Subscribe for tons more guides and other fun videos, and for insightful gaming news content, check out our sister channel, Triple S Podcast.